Let us study the recent cue cards by preparing ideas that we can use for each cue card so that we can create a great monologue in part 2. This is a video series, so make sure to subscribe to this channel so you will be updated with the latest videos about the recent cue cards. Let's get started. Our first cue card here is a historical period you would like to learn more about. Now, my advice here is to simply talk about something that is already known worldwide, rather than talking about your country's history. Now, why is this? This is simply because if you talk about a historical period in your country, well, of course, that's an easy thing to do because you know about it. However, your examiner cannot really relate to it because he doesn't know more about that or he doesn't really know about it. That means you need to provide lots of background information, which I really believe takes so much time. Whereas if you talk about something that is known worldwide, that is much easier to do because you don't need to explain lots of things since your examiner has an idea about it. For example, you can talk about the 9/11 terrorist attack, or you can talk about the Holocaust led by Hitler, or maybe you can talk about the Industrial Revolution, that is the start of the manufacturing industry. So, why do you want to learn more about this? Well, maybe you just want to deepen your understanding about this historical period. Or maybe you want to teach someone. And in order for you to teach him well, you need to have lots of input so that you are credible enough to teach him. Now, I understand that my advice is radical, but I think it's very important that your examiner can relate to your story or your monologue in part 2. In that way, you'll be able to communicate more effectively. From 5.5 to 7.5. That's amazing. How did that student achieve that great score? Well, she simply used my reviewers. My reviewers helped many students achieve a band 8, 7.5, and 7 without me personally coaching them. They simply used my reviewers. So if you're interested to get my latest reviewers, send me an email and I will send you sample reviewers and see for yourself how my reviewers can help you. Or click the link in the comments section. Get them now so you can prepare strategically and, of course, improve your score. Goodbye, 6.5. Next is a time when someone did quite well in a team. First of all, think of what team it is for. Is it a sports team? Or is it a project team at work? Or is it a team in the school where you once studied? Then focus on talking about the invaluable contribution that that team member made that helped your team succeed. So that's very important. For example, if it's a sports team, talk about this team member who had a game plan that's very strategic and helped your team succeed by beating your opponent in a short period of time. Or maybe if it's at work, let's say a project team, you had this, or there's this one team member who had the best approach to solve a project's problem or issue before the deadline. And let's say this was unexpected because this team member was, let's say, shy or maybe quiet, and he had this best approach in solving the problem. And his contribution helped your team succeed because you're able to complete the project before the deadline and your bosses felt great about the result of your project. Something like that. Choose between the two options. I think you can formulate more ideas either of the two options. Then you can use some verbs when it comes to talking about teams, such as lead, manage, work together, form, and train. So these verbs can help you express yourself more effectively when it comes to talking about a team or a team member. We have a long-term goal you want to achieve. I think this is a piece of cake simply because we all have respective goals in our lives. For example, let us say your goal is to work in an English-speaking country or perhaps permanently live in that country. So it takes a while to achieve this goal simply because you need to save lots of money so you can use that money to process different kinds of documents. Also, you need to take the IELTS test and must reach the required band scores. Or it could be you need to, prepare emotionally, mentally, financially, and all those things that you really need in order for you to live in that country conveniently or comfortably. So it takes so much time achieving that goal of yours. Then share with your examiner, the feeling of waiting. Do you feel like giving up that goal? Or do you always have the energy to make that goal a reality? Something like that. I think these things can help you add more value to your story. Well, if you do not like that idea because that idea is something you cannot relate to, then think of buying a house and lot. I think that is a very good example of a long-term goal that you want to achieve in your life. Well, it takes so much time, money, and effort to make that happen. Or maybe you can talk about financial freedom. I mean, who doesn't want to achieve financial freedom? That can also be a good example of a long-term goal that you can achieve. All of us want to be financially free anyway. So create a story out of it because that can be a very good example that you can use to create a story in your part. Now, what are some helpful verbs that we can use when we talk about goals? Well, we have set, strive for, work towards, reach, and attain. Use some of these verbs when you talk about goals so that you can definitely showcase your vocabulary skills to your examiner.